everyone. Welcome to the Spinistry YouTube channel. Off on a little quick sub-24 overlanding slash car camping slash Jeep camping slash bike packing scout trip in the LBJ Caddo National Grasslands northwest of Decatur, Texas. The goal for this trip in this video is really to demonstrate how folks can go overlanding, at least on an introductory basis, with minimal investment. We're gonna shoot some video of our basic setup for overlanding, air quotes there, versus car camping. And you know, that's one of those things people go, "Oh, what's the difference between overlanding and camping?" It's kind of like, what's the difference between bike packing and touring? It's semantics. You know, like bike packing versus touring is, yeah, it's kind of understood that you're going off pavement and you're probably not using panniers. You're probably using bike packing bags to keep the bike narrower for single track or just aerodynamic. Bike packing, you're kind of going longer distances than a lot of tourers do on their daily miles. Overlanding versus car camping, I kind of look at it as overlanding is the journey itself. The trip itself is really the destination. Where you end up camping, that's just a byproduct of what you're trying to accomplish. Whereas car camping, you want to get to a certain spot, set up camp, and hang out there. The basic difference between car camping and overlanding, you know, car camping, it's about the camp setup itself, the destination, where you want to go. Overlanding is what you see along the way, what you do along the way, sort of thing. So we are now off pavement and in the grasslands, and we'll show a quick overlook view here. And we do have a route mapped out that can be followed on Ride with GPS. And this is one of the few dirt road sections that does go through.
In 1.5 miles, turn right.
That said, boom, that bong is us off track. I'm in the Jeep this trip as opposed to the pickup truck, so we can potentially do a little bit more exploring, like I am right now, going down this double track, see what we come across. I have no idea where this double track goes. We'll find out. And our goal, one of the reasons we're coming out to the grasslands specifically, there's a house right there. So even though this is grasslands, you probably wouldn't want to camp here. But it's a good shot of the overview. You don't get a whole lot of this in North Texas, so this is some nice variety. And the National Grasslands are one of the few spots in Texas where dispersed camping is available. So dispersed, off-grid, primitive camping. That's really all that's available this weekend. The campgrounds proper are shut down until at least May 15th, is my understanding. But dispersed camping is still available. But it is primitive, off-grid, no hookups, no vault toilets or anything like that. You got to bring everything you need, which we're perfectly fine with. Tread lightly, leave things as you find it. Don't be going off the beaten path and creating stuff of your own. Obviously, all that helps on the budget too. That's part of why you can do this on the cheap. And in a bit, we'll do a quick segment on what I'm packing with me on this trip. I definitely didn't pack as much as I normally would, but I also definitely still packed definitely more than I'll need for this overnight trip. Left the house around 10 a.m. this morning. It is now 10:45, so 45 minutes, 40 minutes or so to find the dirt road, find the grasslands from my house in Fort Worth. We're less than an hour from Dallas here. And my point today is actually to scout the route to show other people that want to try out some overlanding / car camping or bike packing. The route itself is bicycle friendly as well as Jeep friendly, as well as car friendly for the most part. This is a double track section I haven't been down yet. I was here with the truck and I wasn't sure I wanted to take the truck down into this. I may not even want to take the Jeep down into this. Jan won't be happy with me if I pinstripe this thing, I can tell you that right now. A little bit of a ledge. Wildflowers are absolutely amazing. See what we got here. Looks like it drops off too much. Neat spot, but yeah, that's way eroded there, and very, very soft. So we're not gonna mess with that. We're just gonna back up the way we came. So now we're going to another dirt road section. This is an out and back. I think the last section we did was maybe there's one more through road section that I remember off the top of my head. Maybe there's some other through roads that are dirt roads.
In 1¼ miles, continue straight.
I'm not remembering at the moment, but most of the dirt road sections of this route are going to be out and backs, but they are all out and backs to, generally speaking, scenic areas. I'm going to leave the tires at these pressures for a little bit. So yeah, here's Clear Lake. Yeah, there's folks here. Expected there would be. And that's what I'm expecting. These camping spots are all going to be. Looks like the other end might be available, so we'll do the loop around. We'll do the loop around and go check out that other end there. See if we have that to ourselves and maybe shoot video there. We're not going to go trailblazing. We're not going to go down. You're supposed to stay on basically marked roads. There's some old double track that's been turned into trails, hiking trails, equestrian trails. I'm not quite certain, but so far all of that I've seen is they do have the signage at the end of it, no motorized vehicles, and we're definitely going to abide by that. We don't think it's appropriate to be creating ruts off in the ditches and tearing up mud holes on the sides of the roads or anything like that. So you don't come out here and make a mess of stuff just so you can play with your four-wheel drive. Because if people do crap like that, then we don't have that's when they shut off access to the land. And in Texas, we have hardly any public lands. I think we have the least of any state in the country. I could be wrong. And a large part of what we have is Big Bend. So outside of Big Bend, there's a couple of grasslands, the Caddos, Sam Houston and Davy Crockett Forest. Outside of that, pickings are pretty slim in Texas. So primitive dispersed camping You know, folks that are out west, they don't get it. They're used to being able to roll 15 minutes out their back door, and they're on BLM land or whatever. All the outdoors you can handle. Well, most of the Texas outdoors is behind barbed wire fences. And we'll have a few adventures on some of that stuff too, so stay tuned. I do think public lands are important. And I am a fan of dispersed camping, personally. I just like the idea of just being able to find a spot that you like and hang out there and spend the night or spend a few nights or whatever else. I know chances are probably next to zero, but if I thought there was a chance that after I scout everything, I won't be too far away from here if we go all the way around the loop. If I thought there was a chance to camp here tonight and have it all to myself, I would probably take advantage of that opportunity, but I'm guessing by this afternoon there will be several people hanging out here. But we do seem to have it to ourselves right now anyway. See if we're sheltered, and if we're sheltered we might do our interior video overview because we have a nice little shade spot here. See if we're protected from the wind so the audio works. It looks like it's pretty breezy down here though. Okay, doing our interior overview of how we're set up. We are in a Jeep JLU. We have recently added a 2.5-inch lift and 35-inch tires. Not going to be needed on this trip. We are definitely going with a minimalist camp pack, but not bare minimum. I would usually carry a lot more than this just in case type stuff, particularly if you have the room, but I'm wanting with this one to demonstrate how affordable it can be to actually overland. So right now, like I want to show this is our phone with the Ride with GPS app that has an turn-by-turn directions for a custom route that we've uploaded for people. So when we put on overland trips, we will include free access to the Ride with GPS navigation for the routes and things like that. I do have a GoPro set up just to be able to do some of the in-car shots and scenery shots and things like that. Mask, hand sanitizer, bottle of water, keys, camera case for the camera I'm holding right there, easy access. And that front bag there is not necessary for most, but for this trip it is a requirement for me. That front bag down there on the floorboard, that is my electronics. So cameras, there's a drone in there, and there is a Microsoft Surface if I need to do something PC based before I get home. Hopefully not. And there may or may not be a firearm in there, depending on what trip I'm on, what I may or may not be up against. Here's the back seat. We have some traction mats there. That's not specific to this trip. That's just something that can go in the Jeep. Rechargeable flashlight. This is one of my... Are we able to see this? This right here, this battery jump pack. This is one of my little luxuries. This thing's pretty handy in general just to have in the garage or around the house. We've used it for a bunch of different stuff. This is the Northern Tool 1000 amp jump start. It has an inverter on it so you can plug stuff in and run it, and that's what I use it for on primitive camping. If I don't have access to electricity, I will run a fan off that because I'm one of those that I need air blowing on me when I'm sleeping. So that'll power a fan. There is a 12-volt hookup in the Jeep as well, but I wouldn't want to kill the Jeep battery. But this also works as a compressor for tires and an actual jump starter for batteries, and we've used it for all that stuff, and this thing's amazing. I think it was 125 bucks at Northern Tool. It's like one of the best investments I've ever made. This right here, this is my overnight bag. with clothes, bedding, and toiletries. Thanks to our friends at Wanderlust Gear. And this is a bike packing setup. We'll show this to folks that may not be familiar with bike packing. If I can get it to stay. There we go. So I have a couple of sleeping bag liners / sheet setups in there. I have my clothes for tomorrow, and then my toiletries in this. Again, I'm trying to go with a minimal setup, taking up as little room as possible, and showing that you just go with what you got. And yeah, obviously you could just do a duffel bag as well. But the bike packing bags were handy, and they pack down small, so I really like these. And so I actually do a lot of my trips with my bike packing gear set up like that or similar. Go to the back. All right. So this is another potential luxury, but it doesn't take up a whole lot of room. No investment. It was already in the garage. A folding table, a smaller one with telescoping legs. Generally speaking, if you're going to overnight, having some sort of table is not a bad thing. Definitely not a requirement. This is pretty important for off-grid camping. This is a luggable loo. If you're not familiar with that, make yourself familiar with it. Obviously very good for emergency situations, but just normal bathroom situations that don't include standing behind a tree. This right here, this is more of a four-wheeling thing than a camping thing. This is an air compressor for the bigger tires, so when we're four-wheeling, we can air down the tires, air them back up before we get on the highway. Obviously, cooler, that's pretty self-explanatory. Waters, food, more of each than I need. A couple of beers in there, probably not enough. I have a couple of, these are extras at the moment. One of them is, or maybe both. I'm gonna, if it's this windy, I probably won't try it out, but if I do get the chance, I'm gonna try out an awning tarp setup over the Jeep to get some shade if needed when I make camp. And so I have a couple sets of tent poles to potentially try out for that. This right here is actually, it's another bike packing bag again. Where'd it go? Again, from our friends at Wanderlust. That bike packing bag. Right now I have bug screen and magnets in it so that I can put bug screen over my windows. Again, not required by everybody, but I'm a wuss because I'm planning on sleeping in the Jeep. And so I need my airflow, which means windows open. And I don't want bugs in my mouth when I'm snoring. Just a random assortment down here. A random assortment of bungee cords and straps and things like that. Who knows what you're going to need. Garbage bags. This is usually, this box here, this is usually my pantry, my portable kitchen. And it's usually got a bunch of food for multi-day and all my cooking stuff and things like this. I've actually just turned this into my camping bin for this weekend, just with the assorted. Some of it will be cooking stuff like the mini stove and things like that. But basically almost all my food is in the cooler. And this is just a miscellaneous tools and assorted things. But none of it's extravagant. Just bungeed so it doesn't jump around. Over here, I have a couple of sleeping pads, regular camping sleeping pads. The plan is I will fold down, from our perspective, the right side of the rear seat and sleep through here. And I'll show it when we lay it out tonight. Just put one or both of those sleeping pads there just for a little bit of comfort. I'm getting old. My knees and hips do appreciate cushion underneath them. Sleeping on the ground just does not work for me anymore. Sleeping on a hard surface does not work for me anymore. Here's a hoodie in case it gets a little cold. Again, I like sleeping in comfort, so there's my pillow for tonight. Here's the tarp I was talking about that we'll try to make an awning with. Here's my fan to plug into the battery pack over there. And all these blankets, that's just thrown in there right now, basically to support the top of this seat when it folds down tonight. The idea being that I'm a big guy. I don't trust this headrest to support my weight, so I'm putting more support underneath that. I wouldn't want to break anything. My wife would absolutely kick my behind if I broke her brand new Jeep. This will be, when we fold down the seat, there's a gap between the back and the back of the seat and the back of the Jeep that we need to fill. That fills that. That's just a fold up wood piece or platform that I pulled out of the garage, repurposed from one of those fold-up wagon things. I have another scrap piece of wood that's used as well. Again, we're doing this with zero additional investment. If you have absolutely no camping gear, you could still get away with this, particularly on the bed. You can throw quilts underneath and so forth. And I'm just right here just showing that we're not loaded to the gills, but we're probably even overloaded from what's a requirement. And most of the stuff we're actually seeing on this loadout is just Jeep stuff for four-wheeling as opposed to camping specific stuff. The requirements, you got to have a place to go to the bathroom, particularly if number 2 is involved. Cat holes, just, that's not the way to do it, particularly if you're in a group or, I mean, the camping's crowded these days. Cat holes just don't work. A cooler's pretty darn important. Gotta have that. Gotta have something to sleep on. So, a sleeping pad, an old air mattress, those work. If you're young, just sleep on top of an old sleeping bag or whatever, in an old sleeping bag. Miscellaneous tools and whatevers, maybe not. Realistically, you can go overlanding with almost next to nothing. All you need is a little bit of food, some hydration, a vehicle to get you from point A to point B, or actually point A to point Z and all the points in between. That's the fun of overlanding. And you don't have to spend a bunch of bucks to do this. If you do decide, if you try it out and you like it, and it's like, well, it'd be better if I was able to do this, then start investing in things, so a piece at a time. But that's the quickie overview of how we're packed for the trip. And then when we lay out tonight, we'll do another overview. This comes into a dispersed area. Now, this was pretty full last week. There were a bunch of people down here. And yeah, so there you go. There's a little Dodge Chrysler minivan or whatever. Four-wheel drive's not needed. High clearance vehicle's not needed. You can do this stuff in the family truckster. So I guess we're technically off route what I marked, but that's alright. You can follow the road. You'll figure it out. I'll adjust the maps later. There's another road just north of here. That's a dead end, out and back dead end by a Forest Service gate. Bikes will be able to get through that just fine, and that'll be a very direct route for the bicycles to get to the main, what I suggest, camping area, which will have lots of room to spread out if needed. So there's a horse trailer back, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on back here. People like their waterfront camping. That's understandable. I do too. I expect by this evening this whole thing will be packed. That's not my style. I'm a a social distancing natural. That said, I do miss hanging out with my peeps around the campfire and stuff like that. But we are in new to me territory. This is another out and back section. Like I said, most of this route is a lot of out and back. Most of the out and backs go to something that's somewhat promising / interesting. I don't know that this out and back actually goes to anything, so we'll see what we run into. We're exploring. That's what overlanding is all about. Seeing new, finding what there is to find, etc., etc., etc. There's some sandy double track over there. Now this is turning into some double track. A little bit tighter.
In a half mile, continue straight.
A little bit of water. I like what I'm seeing so far. Let's see. That little water section, I mean, no problem at all for a Jeep or probably a pickup truck, but I could see where a minivan or a sedan, if it was wet there, might have some trouble going across there. It wasn't particularly mushy, but there was some slime on top. There we go. A little bit of a payoff on the view, it looks like, potentially. That's kind of nice. Oh, a fork in the road, maybe? It might be a big circle. Huh. Well, what do we do here? This looks like an interesting little road. We had a nice overview of the valley. I'm guessing that's the Denton Creek. No, wait a minute, no. I have to look at the big map. Camping spot there to the left, pretty nice. Got a pump down here. It's probably where the other one ends up as well. See what I did there? Alright, so yeah, we turn around at the gooseneck. No motorized vehicles, so there's a trail over there. Yeah, I could definitely see just coming out here and parking in one of these spots and just following the trails on a hike. It looks like you'd be bushwhacking quite a bit on a bicycle. That might be tough. Horseback would be pretty cool, but throw on some long boots. No motor vehicles. That's almost single track there. Yeah, would love to explore this area on foot or bicycle when appropriate. We'll go back up here to the fork in the road, hang a right, see where that one goes. So see what we have to work with here. The general rule of thumb on dispersed camping. See, like here's a dispersed camping spot. It's already been used. This already exists. So you don't create new parking pads or parking areas. And there's a fire ring already here. This is a nice little spot. Some cut firewood. Definitely sheltered. And I haven't looked too closely. Maybe over there on the other side of the tree right in front of us it might be different. But I do know, like down by Clear Lake and so forth, there's a little bit over here on the left. Yeah, no, that's a laurel oak. Lots of poison ivy down by the water areas. This looks less, it's not jumping out at me if it's heavy poison ivy in the shade there. That's a nice little spot. You got nice shelter from the trees and the shrubs. There's a fire ring there already. Parking area. I could see coming back to that if all the other spots are full this evening. I think there's a high likelihood that I would have this area all to myself tonight. So when you're dispersed camping, going back to what I was saying, you you camp and you can pull off anywhere that you're not creating new trail or tread, and camp theoretically if you want to. But you don't want to, you don't want to make new fire rings, for example. So you find places that already have existing fire rings if you're wanting a campfire. Campfire, I'm not too worried about myself tonight. Don't get me wrong, I like campfires, love campfires. But the focus today or this weekend was to travel light and efficient. Oh, there's somebody there. I didn't see that earlier on the way in. So they got them a nice, that might be that guy in the truck that was rolling out. I didn't bring stuff for a campfire, but it's also pretty darn breezy and windy, which generally speaking is less than ideal for building a campfire, particularly in grasslands. Alright, so here's the fork in the road that we missed before. See, we'll go. This is shorter than the other one, at least according to the map. We'll see what we come across here. We've got a nice overview of the valley again. Pretty good little downhill here. You can probably see the erosion where the water flows down this hill pretty well. It's not super steep. Definitely doesn't require four-wheel drive or anything like that, but I could see where if this were wet and slimy, two-wheel drive pickup or SUV or something like that wouldn't have a problem. But again, this probably isn't an ideal segment for minivans and family cars and stuff like that. Wanted to do a quick demonstration. Again, we are big fans of leave no trace and tread lightly and those general respect the outdoors and other users philosophies. And one of the real basics that people don't think about sometimes is if you come across a wet spot like this, a mud puddle like this, don't drive around it. Just stay in the existing ruts. Don't go roaring through it and make them deeper or anything like that. Just kind of idle through, but it's okay to get a little bit of mud splatter on your vehicle. Because when you go around it, you just keep widening the road. You actually make the puddle itself wider and deeper and more likely to hold water longer term and things like that.
Turn right onto FS
So
908.
just one of those little tips. If you haven't done a lot of outdoors type stuff, go ahead and drive through the puddle when it's there. I mean, obviously, if the ruts are 3 feet deep or something like that, and yes, I've been there, it may make sense to try to go around the ruts or straddle them or something like that. But just to keep from splashing a little bit of water or mud on your vehicle, don't
In 2 mile, turn right.
try to find the dry spot for that. Just go ahead and just slowly go where others have gone before you, sort of thing. It's an interesting little turn off over there. Yeah, somebody down there. So that's a little camping spot off to the right. A few folks down there. So this isn't quite as desolate as I thought it might be. There's other people that have found this little corner, but not super popular yet. This is a new stretch of road for me. I've never been on this road at all before, but this is a through dirt road, at least according to the maps. I forgot about this one, so our bicycle friends will probably like this one quite. I mean, don't get me wrong. Our overlanding friends are going to like this one. Hopefully I'm going to like it. But the road itself, at least on the map, it's got some nice twists and turns to it. brand new spot for me. I love finding new stuff. This is a new spot I've never been to before. Going into some piney woods. What's up with that? Here's a neat little camp spot here in a stand of pines. And there's a fire ring there. Yeah, handy dandy little spot. We got some folks up here on the left. Have a little pond to themselves. Hanging out in the middle of the stand of pines. Got their tent set up. Nice little spot. I like this a lot. And I guess that's actually maybe a creek and not a pond. And there's more camping off to the right here. Yeah. Yep. Nice spot. Nice shady spot. Now, they are pine trees though. It's a darn windy day. Tall pines and wind sometimes contradict each other. Well, the GoPro pooped out on us. Not exactly certain the whys and the wherefores of it. That's a nice little spot. Get you a little scenic overview. Go all the way around. Yes. Alright, so this is not Grasslands. This is a regular county road in Montague County. But GoPro pooped out on us. I think I have it set for 4K resolution, so it gobbled up all the SD card maybe. Let's see here. But that's okay. We'll try the gimbal camera. Exploring some new roads. Found a nice new little dirt loop. That was kind of cool. So this is winding and climbing. This is a nice road. So we're pretty excited about what we're finding on the new stuff. We always like finding, oh, that's pretty. Check that out. Of course, spring always makes everything pretty everywhere, but we got wildflowers popping. Breeze is definitely a blowing. Yeah, it's still a little breezy out. Now, the nice thing about this spot, though, is, so it's only this one road in, and it goes all the way across that levee right there, and then all the way out there, almost to that antenna, so if there's anybody coming, you're going to get plenty of heads up. So nobody's going to sneak up on you out here. Yeah. We'll get back on course. So the road went a little bit further than the map did, so my ride with GPS shows us off course now. We're just at the end of the physical road as opposed to where the map plot had us in. But northeast corner of the road, there's a little fire ring there. Northeast part of the route, a new spot I wanted to check out, a little water feature. We'll give an overview from on top of the levee up here. Nice little spot. I was kind of hoping it might be an ideal overnight spot. It's not a horrible overnight spot. I think there's a real good likelihood on a Friday or Saturday night that some local kids may make their way down here and drink a beer or two, but maybe not. I'm up on top of the levee here. We'll change the point of view and let y'all see the overview here. Let's see, I think it's a 223. There we go, flipped it around. So there's the road out, pretty straightforward. We'll just do a nice little panorama. It goes back to the end spot we just left. Here's the spot I have picked out to camp tonight. Not too shabby. Nice little pond overview. Nice little pastoral setting on the other side of it. Here's our little dirt road in. Full circle. There's the Jeep. Step back a bit. All right, so right here we've got a bolt head that we don't want pushing through. Then we've got corners here, and then just this whole gap right through. So just a little bit of scrap wood here, right in that spot. Don't need that. And then this here. I may not be an engineer, but my daughter is, as is my father-in-law. Georgia Tech and Texas A&M lineage into house. All right, camp's pretty much set up. Might have a final detail or two to put in, but let's walk through setup. Drivers and passengers compartment, really nothing here except my electronics bag, which is not as full as before. We have a dead GoPro. I think the memory card's full. Not too worried about it right now, to be honest with you. We've got more cameras. Spot tracker is still tracking. I am actually in a no cell zone, one of the few no cell zones. But hey, that's okay. Some garbage bags up here. There's my hoodie. And there's my hat. Compliments of our friends at Bell's Brewing. Thanks, guys. Step back here some. Close the door. Luggable loo is there behind that wheel if needed for a midnight emergency. Cooler is right there. That's actually going to be my step in. So I'm going to close the tailgate and the back window, and I'm going to enter through the passenger door. Here is my my high dollar bug screen. It's just wrapped around the window. A couple magnets here. I had some more somewhere. I've got more magnets. I'll put probably, well, no, because I got to open that one. And the other side will have magnets there, but it's wrapped around the door, so that's pretty good. Rubber mat from the back of the Jeep is now my welcome mat. Kick off my boots. Keep the dirt out of the Jeep as I crawl in. Garbage bag on the spare tire, third brake light. Already had dinner. Getting ready for coffee in the morning. A little bit of orange drink. Underneath is my tool bin and cooking bin. There's a few assorted odds and ends for cooking and tools and like a collapsible bucket and stuff like that. Here's one seat, my trifold seat. Whenever you go overnighting, whenever you go camping, have some sort of seating implement. I also have one of those other lightweight breakdown chairs to sit in with the back, and I may switch to that this evening depending on how the weather goes. Wind's still blowing, but it's coming and going and it's dying down. But let's go ahead and look inside. So on the right, I've got two sleeping mats in a sleeping bag liner, and that is enough room for me. I'm gonna close the tailgate and the hatch window, but I'll be able to still look out over this view. This will be my view out the rear window. Over here on the left, that's my my clothes bag, and it's where the sleeping bag liners were. The camo bag is my toiletries bag. The green bag there, that's what one of the sleeping pads was rolled up in. A couple of the bungees, so I know where to find them when I strap everything back to the roll bar. Up in here, in this Wanderlust bag, that's where I had the bug screen nets were in there, as well as the magnets themselves. I've got these tent poles. I'm not going to try to put up the tarp awning setup tonight. I don't want to deal with the wind, and it's not too crazy warm right now. Oh, and here's my pride and joy, my fan setup. We'll go around to the driver's side rear door and show you how that works. That is a regular household AC fan right now. We'll probably switch it over to a 12-volt fan, but like I said, for this trip, we're just wanting to demonstrate, go with what run with what you brung, go with what you got, don't go out and buy anything. Same on this side for the bug screen. And then here is where my AC cord from the fan winds down. Flashlight there, handy access. And there's my jump box with the inverter. Turn that on, and I've got AC power for the fan. And there it goes. So that'll be nice. Testing it the other day, I think I got right about 8 hours on high. So that should get us through the evening pretty well. Where are we at? There we are. Sorry about that. Got about 8 hours on high. So that should get me to sleep tonight. I will be partaking in Benadryl's earplugs and potentially a double IPA or two. So I should sleep well tonight. So that's our setup for this evening. I'll probably hang out over here on the shade side as the sun sets. Bring one of my chairs over here and probably the cooler. And look out over my view of the pond and the pasture over there. And then get up and head home in the morning. We'll go out that way.